Matthew Stafford. Oh, what a ride it has been for the Rams this season. Just wow. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about the Rams returning to the NFL playoffs for the first time since they had their super team assembled 2 seasons ago. Matthew Stafford has quietly played incredible football for the Rams as he is having a bounce back season for them. The Rams currently have a 9-7 record and are guaranteed to finish the season with a winning record. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Do you believe in the Rams being dark horse contenders in the NFC? Absolutely. Have you guys seen the crap show that has been called the NFC this year? You look at the NFC right now and you're thinking there's only 4 legitimate playoff contenders in there at most. Obviously, you look at the San Francisco 49ers. They're an amazing football team. They've got Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and their defense has been underrated as well with an offensive wizard of a head coach named Kyle Shanahan. Obviously, the 49ers are by far the best team in the NFC. And then you look at the Dallas Cowboys. They're a good football team. I know that they have their struggles on the road, but when they play at home, they are dominant, and there's a reason why they haven't lost a home game in that stadium in 2 years. That's because they play really good football at Jerry World. And then you look at the Detroit Lions, a team that I've been wanting to like for weeks, but obviously the Detroit Lions are an inconsistent football team week to week. One week they might look really good, another week they might drop the ball and really struggle whenever they are playing against a good football team. You obviously look at the Detroit Lions and you're thinking, man, they've had a really nice team this year. They've been a nice story, but can they show up in the playoffs? Do they have the playoff experience in order to be legitimate contenders in the NFC? I just don't know about that. And then of course you look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Don't get fooled by the win-loss record. They have been really bad this year, at least in recent weeks. I mean, good football teams don't lose to teams like the Arizona Cardinals late in the year. You cannot lose a home game against the Cardinals late in the year if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's exactly what they did. So I don't know if they're legitimate contenders in the NFC or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw their name in there just because of the fact that they do have 11 wins on the year. Don't ask me how they've had 11 wins this year with the way they've been playing football, but they got 11 wins somehow, some way. And then of course you look at the rest of the NFC, it's just filled with crap all over the place except for the Los Angeles Rams. You look at what the Los Angeles Rams have been able to build around Matthew Stafford this year. You have to be quietly impressed with what they've been able to do, because you look at how Kyren Williams, he's second in the league in rushing despite the fact that he has missed a month of action due to injury. You look at how the Rams, they could run the football. You look at the fact that their offensive line was supposed to be bad, but it's actually become a strength of this team. They've actually been able to run the football pretty effectively, something that I did not think was possible for the Los Angeles Rams before the year started. You also look at the receiving game for the Rams. They've also got weapons in that department. They've got Kupp, who's one of the best wide receivers in football. They've got Puka Nacua, who's having a historic rookie year in there as well. And then you look at how they still got Tyler Higbee, a solid tight end. You look at the Los Angeles Rams and you're thinking, this is actually a pretty good offense. And for Matthew Stafford to ball out the way that he has been this year, credit to him where credit is due, because it's not easy overcoming a neck injury that he suffered last season, but that's exactly what he's done. And not only has he overcome a neck injury, he's actually been able to play really good football for the Los Angeles Rams. And you look how the Los Angeles Rams, they started out 3-6. It looked like their playoff hopes were dead in the water. They've been having to change kickers all year. They have a rookie punter, Ethan Evans, who by the way is my friend, but Ethan Evans is just a rookie punter. And you've been able to look at the Los Angeles Rams and you're thinking, how are they 9-7? Well, they've won 6 out of the last 7 games. They've been playing really good football, and their one loss came off of a game-winning punt return touchdown by the Baltimore Ravens in overtime. So obviously you look at the Los Angeles Rams and you're thinking they've been playing really good football the last 2 months of the season, and you're looking at how the Rams defense is underrated. They got Brian Young, an underrated pass rusher. They've got Aaron Donald, who's still an elite defensive tackle. Aaron Donald is probably one of the best defensive players that the game has ever seen. Aaron Donald has been phenomenal. Obviously you look at the Rams defense and you're thinking they got dogs on that side of the field, and then on offense they've got weapons littered all over the place. This Rams team is a scary contender come playoff time, especially if they get a certain opponent that they want on the schedule. Now obviously if you're the Los Angeles Rams, I think you want to play the Detroit Lions instead of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm looking at the NFC standings right now and I'm seeing the Detroit Lions be currently slated at the number 3 spot in the NFC. Obviously the Los Angeles Rams are at the number 6 spot in the NFC right now. They've already clinched the playoff berth. They're already going back to the playoffs. So obviously if you're the Rams, you want to make sure you get matched up with the Lions somehow, some way. And obviously if you're the Detroit Lions, you might want to avoid playing the Los Angeles Rams in the first round. You don't want to play a red hot team at home in the first round, because if you do, that's going to bode no trouble for you to be on upset alert. And you're looking at how the Detroit Lions, they have to win their game against the Minnesota Vikings, and they got to hope the Dallas Cowboys lose to the Washington Commanders somehow, some way. I don't see that happening though. So the Detroit Lions, they're probably going to be locked into the number 3 spot. Obviously, if you're the Rams, you want to get the number 6 spot if the Lions are at the number 3 spot, because you don't want to play at Dallas come playoff time, because if you have to play Dallas at Jerry World, you're not going to win that game no matter what. But if you're the Los Angeles Rams and you get the Detroit Lions in the wild card round, that is going to be a dream come true. Holy cow. And you think about how that's going to be Matthew Stafford's first game back at Detroit, because he was a former quarterback for the Detroit Lions. He was actually pretty damn good for them as well. You look at how Matthew Stafford, he might be able to get his revenge on the Detroit Lions. Same thing with Jared Goff, because Jared Goff was a former starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams. And could you imagine the Lions' first playoff game with Jared Goff at quarterback would be going up against their greatest quarterback in franchise history, Matthew Stafford? That would be a crazy story. But my point is, with the Los Angeles Rams, they have to take care of business against a 49ers team that has nothing to play for. They're probably going to rush stars. They're probably going to see a lot of Sam Darnold at the quarterback position. So obviously, if you're the Los Angeles Rams, yes, you're in the playoffs. Yes, you're a wild card team. But there are certain matchups that you want to play and certain matchups that you don't want to play. And obviously, if you're the Los Angeles Rams, you would rather play the Detroit Lions than the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm the Los Angeles Rams, I am praying that I draw the Detroit Lions in the wild card round, because if I play the Dallas Cowboys, I know I'm going to get shellackled from start to finish. But if I get the Detroit Lions, this is a team that can upset the Lions in the playoffs, and they can make some noise in the NFC, because if they can draw some matchups in the right way, they're going to get some favorable matchups that they want to see for sure. And I know this is probably not going to happen, but could you imagine if the Los Angeles Rams played against the Philadelphia Eagles right now? This is a Rams team that can definitely beat the Eagles in the playoffs right now, even though the Eagles have the better record, and even though the Eagles beat the Rams earlier in the year. This is a team that I feel can upset the Eagles at Philly if they can meet somehow, some way in the playoffs. Obviously, I don't think that's going to happen, because I think Dallas has the division on lockdown, and I think Philly is fraudulent. But you look at how the Rams, they've been able to run the football, they've been able to throw it, they've got one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. They got an elite head coach in Sean McVay. He's had a tremendous year coaching the Rams. He's been able to keep the team together somehow, some way. This Rams team has been put in playoff position. Even though they started out 3-6, they've already locked up a playoff berth before the season ended. So you got to give Sean McVay a ton of credit for that. They can sling it on offense, they can run it defensively, they can get pressure on the quarterback. They were actually able to blow out the Browns earlier in the year. Now the Cleveland Browns, they've been pretty good in the AFC. So for the Los Angeles Rams to blow out the Browns, that's really impressive stuff. So as far as whether or not the Rams can be dark horse contenders in the NFC, heck yeah, they're going to be contenders in the NFC. They are sneaky good. This is a team that nobody should want to play come playoff time. If you're Dallas, you don't want to play the Rams either. Now granted, do I think the Cowboys would blow out the Rams come playoff time? Yeah, but I would rather play against a team like the Seahawks, Saints, Vikings, Falcons, Packers, whatever. I would rather play against those type of teams compared to playing against the Los Angeles Rams, because the Los Angeles Rams, out of all those teams I just listed, are by far the most dangerous team in the NFC. I look at the Green Bay Packers right now, I'm thinking, yeah, they might make it to the playoffs, but their defense is so horrible that even I could gas them up. Even Bryce Young looked like a competent quarterback against that Packers defense. Obviously, you look at the Seahawks and you're thinking, how are they 8-8 with the roster that they have? But their coaching really hasn't been good whatsoever. Pete Carroll has been outcoached numerous times this year. And then, of course, if you're the New Orleans Saints, they're 8-8. They're somehow still in the hunt for the playoffs. Even though they haven't been playing good football all year long, they're still somehow, some way, still alive for it. And then, of course, you got the Minnesota Vikings and the Atlanta Falcons. They're still in it somehow, some way. It's only because the NFC is absolutely pathetic. I don't think the NFC has any other legitimate contenders in there. I think the Los Angeles Rams are the best dark horse contender in the NFC. I don't even think it's a question mark to me. I think the Los Angeles Rams have had a tremendous year in being able to get the most out of this roster. I think Matthew Stafford, he should be in the running for comeback player of the year, because for him to overcome a neck injury and still play football at a high level, very impressive stuff. I didn't think Matthew Stafford was going to be able to overcome a poor offensive line for the Los Angeles Rams, but the offensive line has actually stepped up for the Rams big time. You got to give them a lot of credit. You got to give Kyren Williams a lot of credit for being able to run the football behind that offensive line. And of course, you got to give Sean McVay credit for being able to work around a flawed roster that is called the Los Angeles Rams. I'm glad the Los Angeles Rams are going to the playoffs, because they are going to make the game of football actually watchable come playoff time in the NFC side, compared to if some other scrub teams are in the playoffs. Could you imagine watching the New Orleans Saints in the playoffs? Oh, what a joke that would be. The New Orleans Saints are somehow, some way 8-8, but they are one of the worst 8-8 teams that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Obviously, not all records are created equal, and I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to be able to come into Detroit. If they can get the Lions matchup possible to happen, I think they can go ahead and upset those guys come playoff time. I think the Detroit Lions are going to be in for a rude awakening if they have to draw the Los Angeles Rams in the first round of the NFL playoffs. I think the Rams, they can win a playoff game this year, and who knows, maybe if they get another lucky matchup, maybe if they draw the Eagles in the divisional round. Maybe they could beat the Eagles in there too. I think the Rams are absolutely dark horse contenders. I don't think they're going to beat a team like the 49ers or the Cowboys at full strength, but I do think the Rams are a pretty good football team in there as well. Don't be surprised if the Rams make it to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs this year. So that is why I believe in the Rams being dark horse contenders in the NFC, as they might even win a playoff game this season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.